What is up, crypto ninjas? Wingnut here, and it's time for the weekly price update video. Before we get into it, just gonna make it clear, I'm not a financial advisor. These are just one guy on the internet's opinions, so make sure you do your own research before you throw any of your hard-earned money into anything I talk about here. So, with that out of the way, let's get ready to jump into it here. Alright, as always, we're going to start with the big guy here, Bitcoin. And obviously, it's taken some dives from where we talked last week, which would have been right around this point. This week is going to be a lot of echoing what I said last week, because I made some long-term predictions that are currently playing out. A little bit different in some of the altcoins that we'll have to talk about when we get there, but I mean, Bitcoin is almost following this line exactly. It did try to make some good recoveries here, and it did dip down lower than I expected it to earlier, but it came down to like 28.5 and it got rejected hard back up. So again, what I'm expecting to see here with Bitcoin in the medium term, we're going to call it the bear summer. I still think that this is going to play out even longer than mid-July. This actually might be a good time frame because I think it's happening a little bit faster than I was expecting last week. So these lines actually might be where it goes almost exactly, but again, we'll have to see how that plays out. But I see us dropping. We're down here into the $30,000 support line that I have marked out, and I believe that we're going to go down below it. I mean, we've dipped below it here, and have we dipped today? Move this around so we can see it a little clearer. Low, no, we haven't quite dipped below 30k today, but I think it's going to happen. And I think we're going down at least to 25k. Some people are saying we're going to go lower than that. I've heard figures as low as like 20 and 15, but I don't see it. I can't see them soaking that much value out of the market before it starts recovering, because that wouldn't be good for anybody. I don't even think the institutional investors have anything to gain by pushing it quite that low, other than purchasing a bunch of very cheap Bitcoin before it starts pumping back up. But I think that the amount of fear that they would generate by pushing it that low just might break it entirely. The death cross, I mean, it happened, and we did dump out below after it happened by quite a bit, as I figured we would. It is a lagged indicator, but with the current conditions of the market, it was also going to be a driver for it. So we've dumped down, we've hit 30k. We did bounce right back up, almost all the way back up to 33 after it happened, but then obviously we've retracted a bit quite since then, so we're sitting on our way back down at this point. If we take a look at the hourly charts, expand this out a little bit. We came up, we hit, we bounced, and we came back up. It looks like we're bouncing off the 20 EMA line here and coming back down again. So Bitcoin is in rough shape, but it was to be expected. I got swung out of my short position, unfortunately, a few days ago, right around this point. But I made a little bit off of it, which I immediately lost with some bad trades because, again, I'm no financial advisor, so, mistakes were made. But it's fine. I've got another short position I'm hoping reopens on Bitcoin, depending on if the price gets back up there today, just because I didn't want to jump into the volatility of this section. So I think we're stable enough now that if we get back to a certain dollar value, that I feel confident enough to jump back in and ride it down to the 25k line, because I'm pretty confident we're going to go down there. Again, not financial advice. That's why I'm not telling you the dollar figure that I'm jumping in at. If you want to know that, you're gonna have to do a little bit of your own research and figure that part out. So I see us dumping and then hanging out down. Like, we'll probably bounce like the 25k up, like 30, 20, 28, 30 range. I don't see us breaking back above 30 once we've closed below it and we come down significantly. I think we're going to bounce around in this range for a little bit till, mid-July, end July, and then we'll start seeing a bit of a recovery back up, and then, end of July, early August, we should be starting to get hopefully back up into what I would consider good recovery territory. Once we've managed to break and stay above 41k, that's what I'm going to consider us back into a decent bull run. So we'll see how that plays out. over the coming weeks. But yeah, not a lot to say here. It's just following the pattern that I kind of predicted. So we'll see if it continues to do that. I mean, I would prefer the whole market to start jumping. I'm not making these predictions because I want them to go down. I'm just predicting it because that's what I see happening. So that's going to do it for Bitcoin. All right, next up, we've got Bitcoin's little brother, Ethereum, which also seems to be doing basically what I figured it would, consolidating down into in this region here. I did move these. Last week I had them kind of like crushed over here, but I don't think that it's going to actually move quite that fast. So I've gone ahead and let's just go ahead and we'll delete this one and we will draw a new one. I think it's going to consolidate in this region for about this long until, you know, mid-July, and then we're going to start coming out of it, would be my guess. I would expect that this is going to be our region. If we do happen to dump below it, I don't see us getting much below this like 1550 line, because Ethereum's got a lot of good things going on. It's got the new ERC on the testnet for fee burns, and it's doing very well. So that's going to help bring down the prices on Ethereum with that. Just the fee burn is going to do a lot of good things for gas prices. It's basically going to help with the inflation of the Ethereum currency. So I mean, fee burns are always great. Any burns are good for a currency, especially one that that works like the one that Ethereum does. You should go do some research on that because it's a very good system that's got good news for the Ethereum network. I didn't want to do that. I need to grab this tool. So again, this is a lot like what I said last week. Ethereum's just going to kind of bounce around. Let's go ahead and move this line and make it an even value of, say, I think 2100 is probably a better value for it. I kind of see us bounce, even though we didn't quite get, you know what? No, because it did make it over 2,000. So yeah, 2,100 I'm going to call the top range of where we're going to see some bouncing around in here. I could almost make this line turn red for now. Let's go ahead and do that, because I think this is going to be a temporary resistance line. I'm not going to go change the colors of the other ones, but for now, I think this is going to be our resistance line, and this is going to be our support line, and we're going to see ourselves bounce around here until about mid-July, and then start the climb out, following Bitcoin on its torrent back up to big new levels. So it might be a good time to look at getting into Ethereum. It also might not, just in case it does happen to dip low and come to my lower lines. You know, make sure that if you're going to throw some money in, that you've done your own research and you're not just basing it off people you've heard on the internet, because we're just people. We could be wrong. You want to make sure that you are in agreement with whatever you're going to do. So we'll see what Ethereum does, but yeah, not a lot going on here. Just some price bouncing. So it's going to do it for Ethereum. All right, and before we get into the next crypto, if you're not already trading, you might want to take a look at Binance. It's a pretty big platform. It's got lots of ways to make money with crypto. You've got obviously the spot and futures and margin markets and all sorts of things like that, but they also have staking pools and mining pools and lots of different things. They've got the Binance Smart Chain, which has lots of decentralized finance options in it. So Binance is a pretty good platform. If you use the link I've got down in the description, you'll save yourselves 10% on your trading fees, which is always a good thing. You know, paying less in your fees is beneficial. So next up, we've got Cardano's ADA crypto, which is the first of the things I need to admit a mistake in my analysis on. I didn't think we were ever going to drop below like $1.20 here, but we did. We dropped all the way down to basically $1, like one thousandth of a penny above, or 1/1000th of a penny above $1. So no, sorry, 1/100th of a penny above $1. So it dumped a lot further than I thought it was going to do. But it did bounce off that line very hard, and it came back up, and it seems to be coming back down to that level. So I think $1.20 is still going to be a support line, but I'm not 100% confident on it, especially since we are only just now testing it today, for real. Because I mean, we dumped down hard off that, and a lot harder than I thought we were going to. Especially with all the news going on with Cardano and ADA and the Alonzo testnet and everything. But you know, mistakes happen. I'm obviously, you know, not a financial advisor, and this is proof of why you should always do your own research. But really, if you were taking a short position, you which is what I was predicting, you did better than you would have. Let's go ahead and make this line exactly $1. That's what I still think is going to be our bottom price. I don't think we're going to make it below $1, and that seems to have been confirmed, you know, back on the 22nd when we came down and bounced off that line. But, you know, we're making some interesting patterns here. For a little bit the other day, we actually broke away from Bitcoin. It was going down, and Cardano was still managing to maintain and even went up a little bit. So there's good things happening with Cardano. It just taking a little bit longer, and it dumped a little harder than I was expecting, but that's fine. You know, if it manages to break away from Bitcoin dominance and do its own thing, that would be kind of amazing. But, you know, Alonzo's only on the test network. It's not quite onto the main net. That's going to be later this year. But when that hard fork happens and smart contracts go live on the Cardano network, then, you know, basically the sky's the limit as far as I care with Cardano. It's one of my favorite alts for good reason. Like, it's gonna do, I believe it's gonna do very well, and I think that that's my little mistake that it dumped a little lower than I was expecting isn't making me any more fearful of that, because it bounced off that line hard, and it seems to be coming back up into where I was comfortable with it being, up in this $1.20 range. So we'll see if it manages to maintain that, and we'll see what goes on over the next couple of weeks, because again, the bear market is not the bear market. Let's call it the bear trend within the bull market, because I don't want to instill any undue fears. I don't think we're in a bear market. I think we're just having a bear trend at current. We're going to have the summer of the bear, but I do believe the bull run is going to come back and run for, you know, at least a number of months to the end of the year till early next year. This little bear trend may push out when the actual bear market starts, so, you know, we might even see the bulls run until the summer of next year, but I wouldn't expect us to get quite that lucky. I would be looking more like the end of this year, early next year for any exit strategies of the bull run when it comes back. But ADA's doing well. I have not a lot of fear on this one, because, you know, it's just gonna do well. And if it doesn't, I'm gonna be sad because I've put a little bit of money into ADA. So let's go, ADA. Run all the way back up, take us to the sky. But that's gonna do it for ADA, because like I said, there's not a lot different from this week that we had last week. It's kind of following my trends, other than, you know, we had that little misstep here. So all right, on to the next crypto, which of course is going to be Polkadot, which, again, I said I didn't think we're going to get much below this like 1380 line, which should probably more like $13. I need to start doing better at putting these on actual numbers when I put them on, instead of just dropping them in. But yeah, we came down to the $13 line here a couple days ago, but then we came back up, and we're seem to be consolidating between, let's move this one to $17, because we seem to be consolidating between $13 and $17 right now. But again, this is just a temporary thing. Polkadot network is got a lot of big things happening with it already, so things are already happening. They're further along in making things happen than even Cardano is. So I can foresee this going very well for Polkadot. But again, we'll have to see how things play out over the next couple of weeks into months. But I don't see Polkadot having much problem maintaining at least this $13 line for now, and then finding itself coming back up into the new territory later on. I wouldn't be so concerned about the fact that this is a death cross appearing right here, because again, we only have 200-day EMA starting from like right here, and Polkadot's relatively new. The end of last year was when it started actually making its jumps, so I don't put as much weight on this 200-day EMA as I normally would, and I don't see this death cross as being a big scary moment for Polkadot holders as it was for Bitcoin holders. I don't see the same kind of big dump off happening because these crossover as we did because it happened on the other chart. So I see Polkadot at least holding for a while, maybe bouncing around in this range for, you know what, let's get out the old drawing tool. Let's bounce around in this range until you know, mid to end July, and then we'll start going back up. So that's what I'm going to see, what I'm predicting we're going to see happening with Polkadot is kind of hanging out in this range until the bulls take back over later this year. So again, not a lot to say here. It's just mostly an echo of what I said last week. Not a lot of actions in the market. It's just gonna play out the way it's playing out. So that's gonna do it for Polkadot. Lastly, we've got Polygon's MATIC token, which at first glance seems like a mistake I made, but if we go ahead and we put this on an actual dollar value of $1, we did come below it here, but we bounced and we seem to be coming up on it again now. But I'm thinking $1 might be a good what I would consider like a soft floor for Polygon. It doesn't seem to want to jump too far below it. I mean, it did get below it here a couple days ago, but it did get rejected pretty hard off like, well, let's just look at the number. The low was 92.8 cents. So it dipped below $1, but not by a whole lot, and it did come up pretty quick. So I still think this is a safe range with maybe a little bit of a buffer below for safety's sake. But I think we're going to see a lot of consolidation right around here. You know what? Let's call this. Oh, we're going to add a new line. We're going to add a new line. We're going to call it 75 cents. And we're going to make it a yellow one. And we're going to call this line the, if we drop below this one, I'm going to start getting scared line. Because, you know, we're in a bear trend. We may see us get a little lower than I'm thinking. Again, this is another relatively new jumping token. We got like early this year, it started making some motions. And then right around April, it made some really big jumps before the crash. So there's not a lot of historical data to go on. Like, we haven't even hit the 200-day EMA, but that's only because it hasn't come up far enough to get hit because the price action was so recent. Like it was basically a flat line until, let's call it like March, where it started dipping up, and then it really got its pickup here from the pump before the crash. So the 200-day EMA is kind of a useless line right now. It doesn't really tell us much. It's not been affected enough. It's too smoothed out with all the recent price action from the last, call it like 3 or 4 months. So it's not a good useful line to use. But I don't know. I don't see us dumping too much below $1. Like, we didn't dump too hard here, and we're gonna kind of bounce around in here. Where's my little drawing tool? We're gonna jump around in here until mostly the end of July, and then we'll make our little jump out. Which would be my guess, with maybe some times that we dip a little bit below it here, just for some people to get a little bit of a buying opportunity. If it goes below $1, I would consider this all a pretty good buying opportunity from any prices in here, really, because I don't think it's going to drop below 75 cents. Not with how good Polygon is doing. It's basically the cheap version of the Ethereum network, so it's got a lot of stuff to love on it, because you can use all the Ethereum dApps that support Polygon with way cheaper gas prices, because playing in the MATIC token is way cheaper than paying in Ethereum. And I mean, if you're playing on the MATIC token or on the Polygon network, this might be a good time to buy some of that MATIC for gas fees, because it's basically on sale. As far as I care to say, you know, I'm considering it on sale. So if you're into Polygon, you might be wanting to stock up on some gas prices right now. But like I said, not a lot of new information to go through this week. Mostly just a lot of echoing of what happened last week, and saying that I still think the same things are going to happen. So it's going to do it for Polygon for this week. Alright, and that's going to do it for this week's price analysis video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead and throw a like down on the video. And if you're not a subscriber, go ahead and subscribe. This is obviously a relatively new channel, so any interactions on the channel is going to help me with the algorithm and help me get out there to more people. So if you've watched it this far, I mean, you've obviously enjoyed it a little bit. So, you know, at least throw a little subscribe, maybe ring that little bell so you can see these weekly videos. I've got a website where I post up lots of good posts that, you know, they get cross-posted to lots of other sites, so I'll link that down in the description as well. So that's gonna do it for me for this week. Wignut is out of here.